gone base, but not taking much time. I request Dr. Rotarian Ganesh Natarajan, Director, Corporate and Youth Connect, to welcome and introduce on behalf of Rotary Club Pune Riverside. Over to Dr. Ganesh.
Sure, thank you, Colonel Mishra, and welcome, Shabnam. Just as a background, I think it's important to know the organization and also how I know them so well. It just, as all of you know, I think some of the biggest problems in our country are to do with education. And people like Neeruji are, I think, doing some phenomenal work in the Rotary Club in that area. And probably the bigger problem than education itself is girls' education. The biggest problem is girls' education in rural India, because I myself grew up in a small village in Jharkhand. And it is unfortunate to find that, many girls get married literally at the age of 11, 12, 13, even today. And the opportunity to be educated hardly exists. So when an NGO comes up, which not only says that, look, I will work in education, but they say we will work with girls, we will work with in rural India, and really transform girls staying in school, continuing there, and hopefully not getting married before the age of 18. I think it's truly a worthy cause. And that itself, I'm sure there are many NGOs who are doing that. But educate girls is, what can I say? It's completely different. Yeah, and I think we started off by this amazing woman called Safina Hussain. And Safina is, she's a TED talker. She's just an amazing person, lives in Mumbai. In the last 15 years, I think what they've done is transformational, because they started off in Pali, Rajasthan. And I think Shabnam must be very familiar with that area, being in Rajasthan. And then after I joined the board about 3 years back, they had just moved to Madhya Pradesh. And Madhya Pradesh also, we are seeing lots of transformation. And most recently, last year, we started in Uttar Pradesh. And I've actually spent time in the field in Madhya Pradesh, actually visiting the schools, the communities, the panchayats, and the whole movement that's happening in Educate Girls is absolutely amazing. In addition, they also work with adolescents, which is a newer initiative, which I think Shabnam is leading. And it'll be very interesting to understand from you, Shabnam, what Educate Girls, what is the mission? What are you trying to do? I know there are some big numbers we're all talking about. At the same time, what is it that you are doing yourself in the adolescent category? And the last point I'd like to make is, we all talk about technology and, words like artificial intelligence and machine learning, et cetera. But here is one entity, which is an NGO, not-for-profit, but it uses artificial intelligence and machine learning better than many large corporations in the country. So they're amazingly professional. And that is how, I always believe that scope can become scale only when you're professional, technology-oriented, and totally driven. And I think Educate Girls is all these. Shabnam, of course, her introduction is already there in the notice sent by Rotary Club. So I won't get into that. But she has 23 years of experience and obviously has a large track record in the social sector. And apart from that, of course, Educate Girls naturally works with organizations, other organizations, government, etc. I think she has a strong track record of working with governments, convincing them and making that happen. So this is a completely different not-for-profit. And I'm sure you'd love to hear from Shabnam what's going on there. So I'd like to welcome her again and also welcome the other people from Educate Girls who have joined this call. So over to you, Shabnam. And feel free to speak in Hindi and English. I think you're all fairly comfortable. Up mute pe hain. I think you should unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, sir, for this kind words of introduction, not just to me, but for my organization. I am so proud that I work with Safina Hussain and for Educate Girls. So namaste, everybody. I am Shabnam Aziz, and I lead the Adolescent Girls program at Educate Girls. As Dr. Ganesh spoke right now, we at Educate Girls believe that girls' education is the closest thing that can solve some of the world's most pressing problems. The World Bank, says that the girls' education is the single best investment any country can make to solve many problems. For example, it directly solves 9 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I'm very sure you all are aware about, let's say, health, nutrition, employability, poverty alleviation. So many things are positively impacted when a girl is educated. Finally, it is a problem we only have to solve just once, because once we educate a girl and like there are likely chances that she becomes a mother. In India, of course it is, because if you educate that girl who mothers, then the chances of this mother to educate her children is 200 times more than the one who's illiterate. With that, we can close the gender and literacy gap forever. And this is what Educate Girls is here for, to reduce the gender and literacy gap. Educate Girl, as Dr. Ganesh spoke right now, works in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and UP. Our country has made great progress, no doubt about it, in achieving elementary education for all. And now we also have the new draft policy for National Education Plan, thanks to the Right to Education Act. But at the same time, we are still home to over 4 million out-of-school girls. This proportion is highest in India when compared to any other country in the world. The villages in India are populated with marginalized communities who struggle to make their end meet. And during these times, it's very difficult. And hence, they consider animals, cattle, goat, camel, buffalo, an asset, but a girl a liability, because usko to dusre ghar jana hai, us pe kyun investment karna hai. And this prevailing mindset leads to higher number of out-of-school girls, and also these girls not able to complete their education. Educate Girls was started in 2007. We work to change this, some of the most difficult rural, remote, and tribal areas. And definitely the question is, how do we do it? So what we do is we find young, passionate, educated youth, both boys and girls, young women in these villages where we work, and we call them Team Balika, which means a team for the girls, especially for the girls' education, to speak up about her rights, her basic needs. Team Balika are then trained, they are mentored, supported by our frontline staff to implement our programs, which we conduct in the villages. The very first activity that they carry out is to identify whom we intend to work with, which is out-of-school girls. And let me tell you, as was spoken earlier, that our Team Balikas, our Kishori coach, the front foot workers which work in the fields, they do it in a high-tech approach. Our frontline staff uses Android smartphones with Educate Girls applications. This application has everything they need, like digital copies of the village maps, the questions they need to ask in the survey. All the valuable data that they collect is shared via this application in real time. So with this high-tech, high-touch, as we call it, approach, the Team Balika and frontline staff go door to door. They contact each house in the community, in the village, conducting a village survey to identify every single girl who's not in school. And friends, as this application is GPS enabled, it allows villages to be geotagged. And this is how it makes easier for us, for our teams, to study the distribution of out-of-school girls' population and prepare plans for the villages. And once we know who these girls are, where they are located, where they are residing, we then rally communities. We conduct mohalla meetings, which we call neighborhood meetings, village meetings, Ratri Chopals, to address collective mindset. Because सबको एक साथ अगर आप नहीं लेंगे, एक साथ बात नहीं करेंगे, individual से करेंगे, तो ज़्यादा effect नहीं होगा. So the strategy is to counsel them one-to-one and also to conduct collective meetings. So these are inherent behaviors, bias towards girls, especially adolescent girls, girls who are 14 plus, and these biases are deeply ingrained. So changing this mindset requires persistent dialogue at grassroots level, right where the problem is existing. And this responsibility lies with our community volunteers, the Team Balikas, which we call. Apart from Team Balika, we also have Kishori coaches and our field coordinators who do this task. So these Team Balikas, Kishori coaches, field coordinators, who are the frontline workers, they meet families one-to-one to counsel them, to reason out why they are not letting their daughters study or getting them enrolled, or preventing them from attending schools regularly. And they continue to do so till the girl is enrolled, till the girl stays in class, till the girl transits from one class in which she was enrolled to the other class. And this is not easy. This could take a few days, weeks to few months at times. साल भी लग जाता है, 14 से ऊपर है तो. So once the girls are in school, we continue to work with school administration, ensuring infrastructure like clean drinking water, separate toilet for girls, lady teachers for girls. This increases the chances of girls staying in school and also completing their education. So completing their education, we go a little step above as well through the program I Take Care of Adolescent Girls program, where we try to make them clear the 10th also. So coming back to the basic thing which we do, going a step further after enrollment, after talking to the administration, after ensuring that they stay in school, we also run learning programs for all the children. So this program supplements the regular curriculum. Because most of the children we work with, whom we had identified, who were out of school, are first generation learners with no support at home. So this program, this learning program, is specially designed to build foundational skills in literacy and numeracy. So this is our model, and we know that it works. So how it works, I mean, how are we so very confident? We know it works because our most recent randomized control trial, randomized control trial, it's a big word. So this, which is the gold standard of impact evaluation, confirmed the efficacy of the model we work with. The third-party evaluator found that over the course of 3 years, we enrolled 92% of all out-of-school girls in the villages we are working with. So our model is scalable because Educate Girls at present is already in 18,000 villages across all these 3 states, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and UP right now. And we are smart because we use combination of technology and data, and also our heart. Our model is sustainable because we are not creating a parallel delivery system. Systematic because we work in partnership with government and the community. So till date, Educate Girls have been able to bring 750 million girls back to school since we started with 94% retention and increased learning outcomes for over 1.3 million children. So since 2017, Educate Girls initiated we took a step above another Ek Aur Paidan. We initiated our work with adolescent girls. So initially we were already working with girls till 14 years of age group, and we all know that adolescent is defined as an age between 10 to 19 years. So we started working with 14 plus girls as well. Just to get to a little background right now, I would like to share certain data because Dr. Ganesh right now spoke about adolescent girls and the population we have. So there are around 120 million adolescent girls in India. On an average, a girl in India receives less than 4 years of education in her lifetime, which means that she receives less than 4 years of education when compared with boys. As a result, India is home to largest number of illiterate women in the world. More than 200 million, as mentioned by UNESCO in 2014. 26.8% women are married before the age of 18 years. 7.9% of the girls aged 15 to 19 are already mothers. ये सिर्फ मैं ऐसे ही नहीं बोल रही हूँ. There is a base, there is a study. You might have heard about National Family Health Survey 4, which was conducted past year. Adolescent girls work as many as 120 to 150% more. Adolescent girls work 120 to 150% more hours than boys in Indian households. I heard somebody mentioning kitchen mein frequent ja rahe hain. So just I was happy to hear that. But hakikat ye hai ki adolescent girls 120 से 150 घंटे ज्यादा लड़कों से घर के हाउसहोल्ड में मदद करती है, काम करती हैं. Every 8 minutes, a child goes missing. 40% of these children are never found. And many among them are girls. 3 in 5 persons trafficked were children, more than half of them being girls. And uske upar baat kare about महिलाएं, तो it is like every 1.7 minutes, a crime is reported against women, against violence against women. And a woman is subjected to domestic violence every 4.4 minutes. This is reported in Crime in India Report 2018. The National Family Health Survey 15-16 report highlights that 30% of the women in India between the age group of 15 to 49 report experiencing domestic violence, with 83% listing their husbands, I call them spouse because husband is not the right term, with 83% listing their spouses as the main perpetrator. Maybe talking about data, understanding is not enough. So let me say some examples, some case stories from the field where we work. I will like to report 2 cases. One I frequently talk about because it contains so much of examples and factors which affect a girl's education in Rajasthan. There is this girl, her name is Sobar. She resides in Ajmer. She is an active member of our Kishori Samoh because we constitute Kishori Samohs at village level where about 15 to 20 girls come together. They meet once in a trimester or bi-monthly meeting, share their problems, their experiences, what they are going through, and एक दूसरे से बहनापा दर्शाते हुए they tend to learn from each other, move on. And these occasions we also leverage to impart certain life skills to them. So I'll come back to Suman. She is from Bir village in Ajmer. She has 2 sisters and 1 brother. The brother is in a private school in grade 9. Suman is eldest, but she is a grade 8 dropout and she stays at home. Her 2 sisters, one is in grade 8 and the other one has not yet started going to school. She stays at home. And Suman, because she's a dropout, our Kishori coach, the foot front worker who works for Adults and Girls program, has been counseling Suman to register herself for open school. So as the pandemic hit, the family lost all sources of income, became dependent on the ration that was provided by the panchayat. With help of Sarpanch, her family was able to get Manrega card, Mahatma Gandhi Rozgar Yojana, Guarantee Yojana jo hai uske tahat. So this was the only source of income. But At the same time, we all know how government works, and payments under Manrega are not on daily basis. It takes some time to get the money. So her father, who's staying with the family, he's a drunkard. When the liquor shops opened, as the government started using lockdown laws, rules, अभी तो सब तरफ ठीक ठाक ही चल रहा है, सब कुछ खुला है. But I'm talking about June, July. So Suman's alcoholic father, who was in a habit of drinking country-made liquor, he bade Suman, her sister, her mother, to take away whatever money was there in the house. कहीं रखती हैं महिलाएं छुपा करके, वो सारा लेके गया. A few days later, जब कुछ भी नहीं बचा घर में, he sold off the gas cylinder, the only valuable asset in the house, so that he could buy more alcohol for himself. Now, the family has to collect wood. आसपास से सूखी लकड़ियां इकट्ठा करना, खाना तो बनेगा, to cook meals on chulha, with no other income left and very little options to sustain themselves. पिता तो वैसे ही काम नहीं कर रहे. सुमन का जो दिमाग था, मन था पढ़ने का, वो कहीं पीछे रह गया. Even her sister may not be able to go back to school. अभी तो स्कूल वैसे ही बंद है. So, as the newer times now forces her mother to go to the nearby township, वहाँ जाके मजदूरी करना, Suman and her sister attend to their ailing grandmother and the younger infant child. They cook, they take care of other household chores, and her grandmother, she wants to marry her off. She feels, यहाँ काम करने से अच्छा है अपने पति के घर जाए और अपना खुद का घर संभाले, क्योंकि यहाँ तो फोकट में काम कर रही है. यहाँ रहेगी तो उस पर निगाह कौन रखेगा? Which means she may talk to boys, आस पड़ोसी से. कुछ ऊंच नीच हो गई तो मैं कब तक इसका ध्यान रखूंगी? अभी तो कम खर्चे में शादी भी हो जाएगी, because you all know this limitation of having 50 baratis or 100 baratis, whatever. कोई रोकने वाला नहीं है, और अभी तो कोरोना काल है तो कोई आएगा भी नहीं. Everybody is like, जो हो रहा है होने दो. So, dear friends, more than 1.5 billion children, just like Suman, her sister, brother is in private school, तो उसका अलग I'll mention about him, but other girls are out of school due to this disruption. सारे स्कूल बंद है. In India, schools have been shut since middle of March, while many of those schools have moved to system of online classrooms. Even Suman's brother attends online classes. He possesses a smartphone, जो उसने छुपा के रखा था अपने पिता से. But for Suman, well, it means very little to Suman, her sister, thousands of other girls like her, because they do not have access to smart mobile phones. Internet भी कितना है गांव के अंदर. One can very well understand that adolescent girls continue to be worst affected. Normal circumstances, maybe they are the most affected. And in the time of vulnerabilities, crisis, vulnerability of adolescent girls have aggravated. Girls who are now providing informal care within families, to elders, to siblings, just like Suman, taking care of household chores, agriculture-related activities, and regressing to desperate gender roles. पहले स्कूल जाती थी तो एटलीस्ट शी गॉट टू मीट हर फ्रेंड्स. नाउ उसकी बहन के बारे में बोल रही हूँ, सुमन तो लोन गॉन केस, बट अबाउट हर सिस्टर, नो स्कूल्स, नो मिड डे मील, नो कॉन्टैक्ट विद पियर्स, नो स्टेपिंग आउट ऑफ द हाउस, टोटल कंट्रोल. नाउ another case. There is a village called Nawab, very fascinating name, in Rajasthan, Ajmer again, and 18-year-old Seema. We know this girl also. She attempted suicide by consuming this chuha marne wala dawa after her brother slapped her for using her cell phone very frequently. Using cell phone, lekin very frequently. Seema is again 8th class dropout. Maximum dropouts happen during 8th class. So this 8th dropout, she was forcibly withdrawn from school so that she can help other women in domestic chores. The family had purchased a mobile phone for use at home. And during lockdown, due to the job loss, all the male members who used to be away from home throughout the days, sometimes for weeks, were now staying at home, and they were observing. They were observing what women are doing, what they are wearing, when do they sleep, how they spend their time, all these things. So the father and the brother also observed that she was using the phone. And definitely phone to लड़कियों के लिए बहुत बुरा है, गलत चीज है, उनके पास नहीं होना चाहिए. The abuse and violence began soon after, and it had continued for some days. अगर नहीं होता, जल्दी से उसका इलाज नहीं होता, पास में डिस्पेंसरी में ले जाने में, she would not have been alive. And when she recovered, this is what happened. When she recovered, her family sent her to her husband's house because उसका पहले से बाल विवाह होया हुआ था, but she was staying with her parents. So when she recovered, she was sent back to her spouse's house. Everyone in the village found out about this case. कुछ भी होता है, it's not like urban or society dwellers. गांव में एक जगह कहीं कुछ हुआ, everybody gets to know about it. So learning from this Seema's case, few other families of other young girls in the village started sending their daughters back to their abusive in-laws, fearing losing honor if they get influenced by Seema. The COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent lockdown, and now after uplifting of the lockdown, the dip in economy have impacted several aspects of lives of women, adolescent girls, young girls. While the vulnerabilities are shared both by men and women, they are intensified in the case of women and girls who are also experiencing reduced access to essential service, public entitlements, safety, mobility, livelihood. Further, within the household, there has been resurgence of traditional social norms with restricted mobility of women, reinforcement of gender normative roles. Vapas wahin par. It is so clear from both the cases I shared right now that poverty and patriarchy are the two key barriers to girls' education. And now COVID-19, the present scenario, has made both these challenges much, much worse. The economic shock due to job losses, reverse migration, has plunged families back into poverty. घर में अगर limited resources है, you all know who gets impacted by it. Women and girls. A recent UN report suggests that nearly 35 million people who had risen from poverty will be pushed back below the extreme poverty line this year alone. And before the end of 2030, 130 million may be living in extreme poverty. The achievement of the SDG is under threat. Along the economic factors that are crippling communities, there is an emerging regression to all the old gender norms, gender roles in households. As families are cooped up, you saw when male stays in house throughout the day observing. Anxieties are higher, children are not in school. We are seeing domestic duties falling straight back on the shoulders of our young girls, the adolescent girls. We are seeing 17 times increase in domestic abuse cases. India's Child Helpline received 92,000 SOS calls within just 11 days of the lockdown. You might have read in newspapers that distress calls to National Commission for Women in Delhi helpline doubled. So with patriarchy back at play and girls' vulnerabilities shooting back up, schools will become a distant memory for so many. re-enrollment will become near impossible. So we in Educate Girls are trying to come up from this scenario, move out of it, move ahead. And we are focusing on the 3 R's: relief, recovery, and reimagining education system, all through gender lens, so that the adolescent girls we work with are back to normal. If not fully back, at least they're trying. So how we started, for relief, if I say, so we as an education-focused NGO, our priority is always children, especially girls, adolescent girls now. But in these, we just can't go and talk about girls' enrollment, that the girls should be in school, that the girls should be studying, because in these unprecedented times, if we as civil society don't have an immediate response to help alleviate hunger and the risk of deepening poverty, the girls will suffer and they will bear the weight of the crisis. For this reason, we have pivoted to support government with ration distribution, creating awareness, building awareness, signposting to social security schemes in villages where government distributes essentials like groceries, medical supplies, at times sanitary pads. So we train our people to disseminate this kind of knowledge and create awareness. Focused on those areas with high out of school children for ration distribution in remote villages of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh. And we distributed ration in 2 phases with special focus on girls who were out of school. In terms of recovery, the pandemic has hit education system on many levels. Road to recovery is pretty long. We have started interaction with adolescent girls forum in small groups, imparting basic skills, enrolling them for open school examinations, providing counseling for emotional well-being, because many of them are distressed. So we are mobilizing communities on needs of children and adolescent girls. We are also talking with communities to prepare them so that when the schools reopen or when the open school examinations occur, they are on the girls' side so that they can complete their education. To recover, we are right now doing 2 things. We are trying to identify all out-of-school girls, especially those who belong to migrant families who are returning back to the villages or are going back, migrating to other villages, Rozi Roti ke liye, so that when the schools open, we are able to put them back in school. And the elder girls who opt for open school, we are able to register them for that stream. And also, we are conducting community-based camps wherever possible, so that the girls, the children are not away from education for a larger period, and they are prepared to get back to school. So this Camp Vidya for reimagination of education system, we are using enhanced performance management system, and the vast amount of data that we now gather. COVID has afforded us opportunity to do things in a very different manner. In designing Camp Vidya, a community-based curriculum that we are now delivering in the villages rather than school. So it gives us an opportunity to get all the adolescent girls and the children at one place without the barrier of classes and other things. And we are delivering personalized corrective education pattern with these girls. So we have developed a special curriculum which we deliver. We are able to group children more appropriately than that in the class, not being constrained by grade levels, but instead embracing individual needs with the multiple age groups now attending classes together and teaching at the right level. We have the unique opportunity to reimagine a post-COVID education system that is resilient, equitable to achieve 100% enrollment, retention, and learning in line with Sustainable Development Goal 4. Only if we consider the needs of the most vulnerable, and that means putting our girls at the core of our three-pronged approach to relief, recovery, reimagination of education system globally. So I think I'll stop here, and I would be happy to interact with you because I know I'm not a very good speaker. I tend to be good when I interact.
Thank you, Shabnamji. It has been amazing and eye-opener, in fact. I would like to request Dr. Ganesh Natarajan to moderate the session for question and answer sessions. Over to Dr. Ganesh Natarajan.
Sure. Thank you very much, Kalan. And thank you, Shabnam. No, I think when you speak from the heart, that's what matters. And I think it was very obvious कि आप जो कर रही हैं वो कितना प्रेरणा मिल रही है, कोई doubt नहीं है. And no, I just had one comment and actually for the entire Rotary group and to spur some questions. No, you talked about the pressure on girls in rural India. You can't do the mobile phone, वगैरह वगैरह. I mean, I remember an incident 2 years back in Pune. We live in Kalyani Nagar, as most of you know. And our maid who works in our house for the last 15 years, she told my wife कि भाभी मैं अपनी बेटी का शादी कराने वाला हूँ. So and my wife Uma asked her, saying, Anju, उसकी कितनी आयु है? I mean, she said 16 साल की है. And Uma gave her a big lecture saying 18 साल के पहले क्यों नहीं शादी होनी चाहिए, etc. And Anju gave a stunning response. Okay, she said, and I'll say it in English, she said, look, when I'm outside the whole day, this girl has finished school, वो घर में बैठी हुई है, and you know, she has so many distractions, plus all these ruffians in the slum community are after her. She says, I feel she will be safest if I can get her married and she goes to her husband's house. Now, honestly, we had no answer to that. I mean, how do you counter that argument? And a good boy actually married her, and she now lives not far away in Alandi. She has 2 children. Sorry, she has 1 child, which was last year. And you know, sometimes I wonder, हम जो भाषण देते हैं, you know, sitting in our nice houses, are we really understanding the reality on the ground? So this is actually a matter of concern to me even today. In rural India, I know is very, very bad. I have seen young girls at the age of 11 getting married in Bihar, and then, you know, at the age of 16, they have their Gauna ceremony, and then they go off to their husband's houses. At least that is some protection because they are kind of spoken for, if you will. And from 11 to 16, people know they're already married. So is that a better way of doing it? So I'm personally quite confused. So I have a complex question I'm asking. But what do you think? How do you think we as Indians should think about it, Shabnam?
Sir, I'll just quote the experience I have been having. You are very correct in this, what you spoke right now. But everybody here might be aware of this Sarkar ka new intention to raise age of marriage of girls from 18 to 21 and things like that. So many people like me who claim themselves to be development professionals and want to talk about girls' priorities and their safety and their rights and things like that. First of all, let me tell you that there are certain girls who want, because girls par itna rock-tok hai sab jagah, they don't have an opportunity to talk to a boy next door as well. There are people around keeping an eye on them. So there are certain girls who are eager to get married because that's the only way they can explore their sexuality or talk to boys or have a young man to talk to frequently without being eyed, monitored, right? Also, once you get married, you can move out of your house as and when required. There are lesser restrictions. So I would say कि आप ही नहीं, there are many, it's not just parents, there are even a set of girls, boys who want to get married earlier. But at the same time, I will come back to this age bar being raised from 18 to 21 debate. So I was just very curious because as you said, and I thought, this is what we think, but what the youngsters think. लड़कियां खुद क्या सोचती हैं या लड़के खुद क्या सोचते हैं जो इस उम्र के हैं, young men and boys, young girls. So I just conducted a small survey, a rapid survey kind of a thing with 1200 plus boys and girls in this age group. And I was amazed because I questioned lot many things to them. I wanted to know लड़कियां पढ़ लेती हैं या उनकी बाधा आती पढ़ाई में, वो शादी कब करना चाहिए, दो बच्चों के बीच में डिस्टेंस दूरी कितना होने चाहिए, गैप एंड ऑल. And many of them came up with brilliant answers. They all knew कि इमीडिएटली शादी के बाद बच्चा पैदा नहीं करना है, एक हो गया तो दूसरे बच्चे में 3 साल की दूरी होनी है वगैरह वगैरह. But at the same time they said it is not it is the society which forces them to get married earlier. And what is the reason behind? They said that the state is not giving them appropriate facilities, this kind of a safety required, employability. तो लड़की 8वीं पढ़ ली, 10वीं पढ़ ली, आगे क्या? द विलेजेस से हमारा बेटा बीए करके भी बेरोजगार है, उसको नौकरी नहीं है, तो लड़की को पढ़ा के क्या करेंगे? Because this is how we see Indians. This is our mindset. Every Indian feels पढ़ने का मतलब रोजगार, डायरेक्ट. It's not कि स्किल डेवलपमेंट कर दो, जो स्किल इंडिया या लोकल इंडिया की हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं. पहला, लड़कियों के पास में पढ़ने के लिए स्कूल नहीं है. You get primary school. That's why everybody is 5वीं पास, 8वीं पास. 8वीं के बाद there is no free education. There is no complete, necessary, or you say compulsory education, which penalized your parents if they are not sending you to school. There are no secondary schools available in villages. आपके गांव में प्राइमरी होगा, सेकेंडरी पूरी पंचायत पर एक है, और वो भी जरूरी नहीं सिर्फ गर्ल्स का हो. इट्स अ को-एड. पेरेंट्स भेजेंगे नहीं भेजेंगे, तो आप गर्ल्स को अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं दे रहे आगे पढ़ने के लिए. फिर उसके बाद में लड़का भी 12वीं पढ़ लिया है तो उसके पास में एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी नहीं है, क्योंकि आपने वो स्किल्स डेवलप ही नहीं करी जब वो स्कूल में है. सेफर एनवायरनमेंट नहीं है कि पेरेंट्स डेयर करें अपनी बच्चियों को नियर बाय कस्बे में पढ़ने के लिए. ट्रांसपोर्टेशन नहीं है. किसकी जिम्मेदारी है ये? आप एक सेंस ऑफ ओनरशिप, एक सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी. टुडे आई एम नॉट confident enough to send my daughter to Delhi to study, but 25-30 years back my parents from a small town of Bikaner in Rajasthan dared to send me to SNDT University Mumbai for my PG all alone. But I cannot dare right now. These are not the safer times. मैं भी तस्लीम करती हूँ इस बात को, मैं पूरा मानती हूँ. तो किसकी जिम्मेदारी है वो देना? अगर हम सेफ एनवायरनमेंट नहीं दे रहे, लड़कियों को मोबिलिटी के लिए ऑप्शंस नहीं दे रहे, ट्रांसपोर्टेशंस नहीं दे रहे, एजुकेशन के लिए प्रॉपर इंस्टीट्यूट्स नहीं दे रहे, तो उसको पढ़ा के क्या करेगा बताइए आप?
वेरी वेरी
बात आएगी. बट दिस डजंट मीन दैट दिस इज अ राइट ऑप्शन. Education is a basic right. They need to have it. And that's the reason adolescent girls की education के जो भी programs हैं, they are expensive, they are time consuming, and you need to have आग in your heart to work on this issue. Because फिर वही हम बहुत आसानी से, मैं भी चाहूंगी कि 18 साल की बच्ची होगी, शादी करो, that's how she will be safer. That's how a future is also secured. क्योंकि नौकरियां तो आदमी लड़कों को भी नहीं मिल रही. एटलीस्ट जो जिसके साथ शादी होगी दोनों मिलके कुछ कर लेंगे, एक कंपेनियनशिप होगी, आगे सेफ होगा. बट दिस इज नॉट राइट. जो हमें अभी आसान दिख रहा है वो सही हो जरूरी नहीं है.
करेक्ट. संदीप जी, you had a question?
Thank you, Ganesh. Shabnam ji, first of all, to have you here as a speaker was phenomenal. You were a real eye-opener speaker. एक सवाल है मेरा, थोड़ा सा पॉलिटिकल हो सकता है. हमारे देश में नारा चल रहा है बेटी बचाओ देश बढ़ाओ, और मैं बिलीव करता हूं कि जो मीडिया हमको दिखा रहा है वो सच नहीं है. ये मेरा बिलीफ है, हो सकता है some people may disagree with that. You are on the ground. और मुझे ये भी मालूम है कि the education budget for the country has been cut down. तो इन दोनों के बीच में कि बेटी बचाओ देश बढ़ाओ और एजुकेशन बीइंग रिड्यूस्ड, और द फोकस ऑन द एजुकेशन बीइंग रिड्यूस्ड अदरवाइज, व्हाट इज द ग्राउंड रियलिटी? क्या लगता है आपको?
सर, किसी चीज को बचाना मतलब द कम्युनिटी इज एंडेंजर्ड. टाइगर बचाओ पेड़ बचाओ समझ में आता है, लेकिन जब विश्व की आधी आबादी को बचाने की बात आए तो मुझे लगता है हम सबको चिंतित होना बहुत जरूरी है। यह नारा या यह कैंपेन बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ या देश बढ़ाओ व्हाटएवर, अगर आप न्यूज़पेपर्स पढ़ते हैं लगातार, सॉरी बट आई एम मतलब अब मेरा एक्टिविज्म जाग रहा है, तो कुछ लोगों को शायद ये चीजें अच्छी ना लगे। और दिस इज शबनम अजीज स्पीकिंग, नॉट एजुकेट गर्ल्स स्पीकिंग राइट नाउ, बिकॉज यू आस्क्ड फॉर माय पर्सनल थॉट हियर। तो अगर आपने न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ा है आपको पता रहेगा कि हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ मुहिम शुरू करी थी पानीपत हरियाणा से, जहाँ पे लड़कियों की आबादी, जनसंख्या, चाइल्ड सेक्स रेशो शर्मिंदगी की हद को क्रॉस कर चुका है। लेकिन इसका 60% से ज्यादा बजट जो इस पूरी कैंपेन का है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ, आपको मालूम है कहाँ खर्च हुआ है? एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स में। आप गूगल करके देखिए, आपको पता चलेगा। इसी बात से जाहिर होता है कि हमारे राज्य की, हमारी स्टेट की मंशा क्या है, वो क्या चाहते हैं। आपका दूसरा प्रश्न क्या था सर? वन वाज कि बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ का क्या रहा, एंड द सेकंड वाज?
नहीं मैडम, दूसरा प्रश्न नहीं था, इसी का पार्ट था कि एजुकेशन का जो बजट है वो भी कम किया गया है।
सर एजुकेशन का बजट भी, अब मैं इस नारीवादी या पुरुषवादी सोच पे नहीं जा रही हूँ, मैं सिर्फ एक अवेयर सिटीजन के तौर पे जा रही हूँ। एक तरफ हम एजुकेशन का बजट घटाते हैं, क्यों घटा रहे हैं, और दूसरी तरफ हम प्राइवेटाइजेशन की बात कर रहे हैं। आप मेजर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट्स को देखो, हमने बजट क्यों कम कर रखा है? हम कहते हैं कि इसका इस्तेमाल नहीं हो रहा। मैक्सिमम बजट, अगर यहाँ पर भी सर्व शिक्षा अभियान की, समग्र शिक्षा अभियान की बात करूं, हमारा सिर्फ सैलरीज में जाता है। लड़कियों, बच्चों, स्टूडेंट्स के ओरिएंटेशन, उनकी कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, इवन टीचर्स की कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग पर आप बजट देखिए, सिर्फ सैलरीज का पोर्शन ज्यादा है और कुछ भी नहीं है। साथ ही साथ ओवरऑल नेशनल लेवल पर, ना सिर्फ मैं राजस्थान की भी बात करूंगी, हमारे राजस्थान का भी जो बजट है एजुकेशन के ऊपर, वो 2 डिजिट्स में भी नहीं है। हमारे नेशन का भी नहीं है 2 डिजिट्स में, 10 तक तो पहुंचा ही नहीं है, वो 5 भी क्रॉस नहीं करता है, 5% ऑफ द होल बजट थिंग। It is only because we are emphasizing on privatization, and the more we emphasize on privatization, more the chances are that those who need education will be far, far, far away from the school. ये बहुत दुर्भाग्य है हमारे राष्ट्र का कि जिन लोगों को हमें शिक्षित करना है उनके लिए हम द्वयम शिक्षा ही व्यवस्था ही करते हैं। अगर एजुकेट गर्ल्स काम करेगा तो ही गर्ल्स को हम अंदर ला पाएंगे, तो ही हम सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन उनको कंप्लीट करवा पाएंगे, ना सिर्फ बाकी संस्थाएं भी जो काम कर रही है। सरकार की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कहाँ है? सरकार क्यों नहीं देख रही है कि हर एक गांव के अंदर स्कूल हो, हर स्कूल के अंदर एक महिला शिक्षिका हो, हर स्कूल के अंदर शौचालय चालू अवस्था में हो, बच्चियां अगर स्कूल नहीं आ रही है तो टाइमली आए। वी जस्ट मेक अनाउंसमेंट्स एवरी टाइम देयर इज एन अनाउंसमेंट। हम ये यू नेम एनी क्राइम इन इंडिया, हर एक के विरुद्ध में हमारे पास नियम है, कायदे हैं, कानून है, लेकिन इंप्लीमेंटेशन पर जाइए, जीरो। वी ऑल नो साउथ एशिया में हाईएस्ट बाल विवाह होते हैं, राजस्थान उसमें सर्वोपरि है, लेकिन आप अगर देखेंगे केसेस कितने दर्ज हुए हैं, द वर्ल्ड नोज इट, लेकिन हमारा जो सिस्टम है उसके बारे में चुप्पी साधे हुए हैं। दिस इज वेरी बैड। आई मीन वी जस्ट डोंट नो हम कहां से शुरू करें, कहां खत्म करें, लेकिन हम सब अपने अपने प्रयास अपनी अपनी क्षमताओं के अनुसार कर रहे हैं, यही सोच के कि आने वाला कल हमारी बेटियों के लिए अच्छा होगा। मे बी वी सफर्ड बट आवर डॉटर्स विल नॉट।
Very good point. Questions? Yeah, Sandeep, any further or any other questions?
Can I ask a question, Ganesh?
Please, Anuradha.
Yeah. First of all, I am really happy to hear Shabnam talking, and I 100% agree with me. There are a lot of people expressing opinions in favor of girls actually marrying early. The reality is that at the age of 15, 16, even the brain is not fully developed. They do not want what they want themselves. Okay, even I remember once upon a time when I was 15 or 16, I wanted a short hair and mid dress. Okay, when I grew, I say, what am I talking about dresses? Let me, the life is far more than that. So give them a chance to grow and decide for themselves. And I would say, I'll like to go a step ahead. Everything cannot be implemented fast, but I am of the opinion that we should have compulsory 10th or 12th pass for girls to marry. Maybe 1 year we have a problem, second year we have a problem, third year onwards all the girls will pass 10th standard if the law comes. And, there are people like Nobel literate Satyarthi, who has been completely against labor, underage labor. Why? Because they say give them a chance, right? Give them a chance. I mean, don't brainwash the children that they need to help the parents, right? The parents need to help the children so that they don't become like that. So, Shabnam, I would like to say that if you could be at a national level to implement strategies, a lot more can happen. And, I really hope that you take a lead further in this particular subject. Thank you.
Anuradha, we advocated to involve these young voices and we made them interact with members of Niti Aayog who were taking this decision. क्योंकि ये नीति आयोग की तरफ से आया था और मतलब मजेदार बात ये है कि यह कोई जेंडर्ड पर्सपेक्टिव से नहीं आया था, ये हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट ने रिक्वेस्ट करा था कि शादी की उम्र बढ़ा दो ताकि मोर्टेलिटी और मॉर्बिडिटी की रेट थोड़ी कम हो जाए, उसके मद्देनजर. सो वी हैव अ ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल जिनके साथ हम लोग एक समूह में काम करते हैं. उन लोगों ने इंटरेक्शन पॉसिबल करवाया नीति आयोग के मेंबर्स के साथ, इन यंगस्टर्स का, गर्ल्स का, एंड हु वेरी वेल डिबेटेड कि हमें उम्र ऊपर नीचे करने से आप अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से हाथ धो रहे हो सरकार, क्योंकि आपको हमें सुविधा देनी चाहिए पढ़ने की, काम करने की, सेफ्टी की. तो आप 18 करो, 21 करो, 22 करो, जो भी करो हमसे पूछ के करो, हमारी व्यूज उसके अंदर लो. क्योंकि 18 में मैं अपने देश का प्रधानमंत्री के लिए इलेक्शन में वोट कास्ट कर सकती हूँ, लेकिन अपनी चॉइस का डिसीजन अपनी लाइफ के लिए नहीं ले सकती. व्हाट इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट, वोट देने का अधिकार या पार्टनर चुनने का अधिकार? एक राष्ट्र में सरकार बनाने का अधिकार और अपने लिए अपना स्पाउस ढूंढने का अधिकार. वियर्ड है पूरा डिबेट. मतलब खैर, I'll restrain myself, politically correct. I have to be.
The good news is that is why I love Educate Girls so much. That एक शबनम नहीं, Educate Girls में कम से कम 1000 शबनम है. So you can imagine the transformation possibility in this country. And the good news is, I want all of you to know कि जैसे we are very proud of Pune City Connect, which I run, which is raises 10 to 12 crores every year. In Educate Girls, raised 750 crores for these programs, and not just from India but from all over the world. There are donors. So I think there is a lot of support for initiatives like this. The purpose of requesting Shabnam ji to come here and showcase what we are doing is to not only explain what the size of the problem we are faced with, where there are so many possible solutions and yet not easy solutions. And I'm glad that I think all of you found it interesting. Thank you very much, Shabnam ji. Back to you, Kalal.
Thank you very much, Shabnam ji. It was not only eye-opener, mind-blowing and whatnot. So we are blessed to have you today as our keynote speaker. And equally, we are very grateful to Dr. Ganesh Natarajan, because through him we get connected to the very, significant speakers globally. So Dr. Ganesh, thank you very much for you. Also, you are doing a lot for Rotary Club Pune Riverside. Not taking much time. In fact, I missed one announcement, secretariat announcement. So I would like to invite Radha, Prerna, Secretary, Rotary Club Pune Riverside, to do this honor. Over to Prerna.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Shabnam ji, for really educating us on educating girls. We have just one announcement for this week. We have Sanjay Merchant's 30th wedding anniversary on the 25th. So here's wishing him a very happy wedding anniversary in advance. Thank you very much. Colonel, back to you.
Thank you very much. So before going for a formal vote of thanks, I would like to welcome once again Sabnamji, Shayali, Somnath and Savanti, who are the guest participants and the students who have joined today. So now going to end of the program is inviting Rotarian Sandeep Bass for extending formal vote of thanks. So over to Sandeep ji.
Thank you, Mr. President, and a very good morning to everybody. शबनम जी, जब गणेश जी आपको इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे थे तो वो बात कर रहे थे कि टेक्नोलॉजी जो आप यूज कर रही हैं वो कहीं कहीं कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर से भी ज्यादा है. एंड यू नो, आई फाउंड इट स्लाइटली डिफिकल्ट टू बिलीव एट दैट मोमेंट. मैंने कहा गणेश जी थोड़ा एग्जेजरेट कर रहे हैं शायद, लेकिन जब आपने स्टार्ट किया और आपने बताया कि हाउ यू आर जियो टैगिंग पीपल, हाउ पीपल आर कैरिंग मोबाइल एप्लीकेशंस एंड हाउ एंटायर थिंग इज बीइंग मैनेज्ड, I am inclined to believe that you are a great mix of technology, inspiration, education, and a cause, which is very, very difficult to find so many things together in one person. I believe Anuradha has already proposed a very, very good vote of thanks to you. But on the closure, let me say that we are really blessed to have citizens like you, those who care for the nation and those who are doing well beyond the call of duty towards the upliftment of this nation. Thank you for being with us this morning, and it was really a wonderful time and a lot of education which came through. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sandeep ji. The joke is the great tradition of the Rotary Club Pune Riverside, and this has been done very nicely by none other than the Sandeep ji. So over to Sandeep ji to crack the joke of the week.
बहुत सीरियस बातें कर रहे थे हम लोग, तो थोड़ा सा मूड चेंज करने के लिए तो एक फैक्ट्री में दो वर्कर्स बात कर रहे थे कि हमारा जो मैनेजर है वो छुट्टी नहीं देता. तो एक उसमें थोड़ा पुराना था, बोलता था कि जब मुझे छुट्टी चाहिए होती है ना तो मैं कुछ ऐसा करता हूँ कि मैनेजर छुट्टी दे देता है. तो बोलता क्या करते हो? बोलता है कि देखो मैनेजर आने वाला है, आई शो यू. तो जब वो मैनेजर आया तो ये दीवार पे उल्टा लटक गया. तो मैनेजर आया, बोले क्या कर रहे हो भाई? बोला साहब मैं लाइट बल्ब हूँ. मैनेजर बोला लुक्स लाइक यू आर रियली स्ट्रेस्ड, तुम एक काम करो घर जाओ, जाके आराम करो, कल आना. तो इतने में दूसरे वाला जो था वो बड़ा परेशान कि ये तो चला गया, मैं बच गया. तो वो भी पीछे पीछे जाने लगा उसके. तो मैनेजर बोले तुम कहाँ जा रहे हो? बोला साहब बिना बत्ती के मैं कैसे काम करूंगा?
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Friends, on coming Wednesday, that is on 30th December, we have very good speaker, Major General Amil Kumar Sori, and he is going to speak on Indian challenges to Chinese expansion. So I will request you all to please join, and the time will be the same. And I will request even the guest participants who have joined today. Saili, I will send the I will send the link to you. Yeah, so please keep on joining. I will be requesting Prerna to keep on sending the all invites as per your convenience. I'm not telling every meeting. So stay healthy, happy, safe, and blessed. And time is already 9:32 to there. So please allow me to end the meeting if there is nothing there. Should I or any member have any point to mention here? No? So please allow me to end the meeting. Thank you very much once again to all, and particularly to Sabnam ji for today's interesting and mind-blowing talk, and Dr. Ganesh to connecting Sabnam ji. Thank you very much.